Okay, bit of an edit there. I had a crash, which I don't think is due to the DC-9, although it didn't help. I think it's more due to the way I've got my flight sim tweaked. I think I need to reinstall everything. But anyway, let's move on. Incidentally, before we get going, on the speed cards that I failed to set the bugs earlier on, you basically define the flaps that you're using for takeoff, so flaps 5, and then click on the takeoff configuration, so 5 degrees there, and it will move all the bugs. You see that? So that's our rotation speed. Right there, that is V2. That's V2 plus 10-ish. Or actually, so that's flaps retraction. And then slats retraction right there. We're going to be climbing at that speed, 170-ish, I hope. Okay, so everything's all set up the way it was. I apologize for that edit there. Let's get this thing moving. So stabilize the engines. Brakes off. Take off thrust. Strange bit of smoke in the cockpit. It does that. I don't know why it does that.
80 knots. V1, rotate, V2, V2 plus 10.
Alright, positive rate. Let's try to hold this climb speed now, so a bit more pitch.
Gear up and locked.
You can obviously get the flaps
Flaps
up
retracted.
now. Turn the nose lights off. Alright, we're in good shape. We're slightly off our heading, so I'll bring that back, and then what I will do at this point is engage the autopilot right there. We will set this into heading hold like so, and then hopefully we'll set this in vertical speed hold or indicated airspeed hold like so. Now we're above the minimum height for turning, so let's put this into Nav Lock or Nav Localizer. You know what I didn't do before when I reset this up is set up my radio. So let's go ahead and set that up right now. I'm looking for DVR, which obviously is the one radio that you can't find when you need to in a hurry. That should be 114.95, right? So let's just go ahead and dial that in. 114.95.
1,000 to go.
There we go. What a noob. Right, 1,000 to go on our climb, so we get ready on the altitude hold. Those warnings are just warnings about what the autopilot's doing. We will set altitude hold just before we hit our assigned altitude of 5,000. Like so. Now we can come off the engines, and we land a little bit over our assigned altitude. The autopilot should bring us back down.
Stabilizer motion.
Alright, stats up.
Flaps up, slats retracted.
And we're on course on the 092272 radial to DVR. We are 52 miles away. We are at 5,000 feet. So now it's just a question of managing the engines until we get 31, 32 miles away, then we will turn. So that turning, by the way, is going to be round to 006. Let's dial that up right now. In fact, let me go heads down on all this stuff here, because that's really where we need to be paying attention. What is about there? A bit more power on the engines. We can increase our speed up towards 250 now. And that nav sim, incidentally, that I was trying to use and failed, is what we'll be using next. When we actually make our turn, there's DVR. I'll just double click on DET and it will tune nav1 to DET's frequency, which is very, very cool. I don't have to do anything else. Then all I need to do is dial the course in here in order to catch the localizer. The DC-9 here is a little bit shabby at catching localizers. If you're too close, it won't. It will just slalom around the sky. kind of wildly. It's not very pleasant. So you tend to fly it by either manually flying it or manually setting a heading and then capture the localizer further out. So you see we had no problem catching this localizer because we were 50 miles out. Same thing's going to happen to det. We'll actually turn on our heading. Once we hit det at 5,000 feet and begin our climb up to 6,000, I will dial in the next heading, which is 015 and the course of 015, and we'll do the localizer capture after it's already established itself manually and we're quite some way away from det. Let's increase those throttles. So you've seen already it's a bit of a handful to manage even with the autopilot on, which is the way it should be. And it's a bit of a handful to manage manually flying as well, as you're going to see on the landing. I'll grab my drink. Let's just check all these other lights, see if we need to turn any other lights off. Not sure which view I have set up for the light bar. What's going on? Let me jump back into that view. Oh, too fast, too fast. Slow down. Shabby, Froogle, shabby. Anti-collision is on. Yeah, we're all good. We're all good on the lights. So 42 miles away, we're going to start our turn at 32 miles. Even though on the SID it says 31 miles, but as I said, the DC-9 here is a little sluggish in the turn. I don't really want to throw all the passengers in the back around too much. And then we are holding 5,000 until det, at det, climbing to 6,000. That's our step climb. And then 5 miles after det, we should be at 6,000, and then we can begin our climb up to flight level 210. And get ready to intercept the final part of the SID, which is the 085 radial to Clacton. So for that, well, I'll talk about it when we get there. We're going to be juggling the radios and the headings a little bit to make that happen. 37 miles coming up. For this stage of flight, you would typically just be here, just looking right here. Nothing else to look at. Just monitoring your altitude, here, your speed, your vertical speed, your heading and course. That's all you need. It's a beautiful cockpit, isn't it? Incidentally, McFat have come out with a new texture pack for inside the cockpit, getting rid of this blue and replacing, I think they've got a brown one, which actually looks very attractive. And there was another color as well, maybe black, not sure. Classically though, the DC-9s do have a blue cockpit, which makes it look very Russian. Here comes 33 miles. Then all we need to do to turn to that course is just switch this knob once again into heading mode. There. Here comes the turn. Now we can retune the radios. So while that's turning, the autopilot will manage our altitude, hold us at 5,000. I still need to be monitoring the engines to keep our speed up. The autopilot moving surfaces there. Let's bring up NavSim. Let's tune det, which is there. So that's all tuned up, and we want a course of 015. We can see that we're 8 miles away now from det, heading towards it. We're far too close to intercept the radial. But we do want to get ready on our climb. Once we overfly det, we're going to be climbing up to 6,000. So let me dial that into the alerter over here. There. The beeping also is, by the way, because we're fluctuating over and under the assigned altitude. So we're getting alerts for that as well. It's 5 miles. Let's just reduce the throttles. I don't know if you can see it on this video. Hopefully you can. These are off. I thought they were on for a second. The needle movement here and here is very, very smooth, which is part of the problem, I think, with the frame rates on this aircraft. I like it though. Typically you don't, people get fixated on frame rates. Typically on a jetliner you don't really need to care about them too much. You're at a cruise altitude of 20,000 plus. You're not looking at much out the window. It doesn't really matter if you're only getting 5 or 6 or even 10 frames a second. Everything's done on the autopilot. Why would you need the autopilot to have 30, 40, 50, 60 frames a second? It doesn't really matter. It more matters when you come in for landings and takeoffs that you have a smooth frame rate, specifically landings. Here we go, 2 miles. So let's change our course now, our heading I should say. Just align it with that radial. Now we can start our climb.
1,000 to go.
There we go. Now at 5 miles away from Detling, we're currently overflying it now. At 5 miles away we want to be at 6,000 feet. A bit more power, because we're losing speed, obviously. A bit more pitch. And it's the same process we had before. As we come up on 6,000, like 5.9, we will do altitude hold. There's 5.9 there, altitude hold, and we're good.
Stabilizer motion.
6,000 feet, and we are 2 miles away from Det. And we needed to be at 6,000 at 5 miles away. Watching that speed there and adjusting the throttles. Don't want to break the limits. So with us established at the right altitude now, 2 miles to go, we will roll this up to 21,000 feet. There. 4 miles. At about 10 miles away we'll be able to intercept the radial, and then we will adjust the heading bug so that we can do some juggling. 5 miles at 6,000 feet, we've met that constraint, so let's start climbing. So dial in the throttles once again. We'll be climbing at about 2,000 feet per minute. Gives us a good mix of climb rate and speed. Here we go. There goes the radial, so let's put this into localizer. You'll see it'll start to slalom a little bit now. It shouldn't, it didn't need to turn that much. So another solution to that is actually to use this wheel here to manually dial in an amount of turn and intercept it that way. My goodness, my throat. Bit more throttle, try to get us up near that 250 mark, so when we break 10,000 we can accelerate to our cruise speed. And once it's established on the radial from Detling, we will go back into heading hold of all things. Establishing us on the radial from Detling will be wind corrected. It's putting us on the radial, and just by virtue of how it works, if there's a crosswind or something blowing us off course, the autopilot will be correcting for that. So we can dial in a heading to match whatever we end up on. Just watching that speed there. Alright, we're coming up on 10,000 feet. We're pretty much established on course now. That's the heading we want. So lights off. 10,000 feet, lights off. We can start putting in more power now and accelerate to a better speed since we're above that 10,000 limit. Let's put this back into heading hold, like so. Bring up NavSim. Let's find Clacton, which is there. Double click that, because what we now want to intercept is the 085 radial to Clacton, which is the final part of the SID. There. Now we could actually go back to Detling if we wanted to. We're supposed to be turning at 32 miles away. So I've already tuned in the radio. We know we're good there. So let's just switch it back to Detling using NavSim once again. Dead easy. There's Detling. We are 20 miles away. So at 25 miles away then I will switch over to Clacton and do the localizer intercept. It's 23 miles. We could probably afford to wait a little bit longer, actually. Do it around about 28. Don't want to leave it to the last minute though. 32 is how far we would be normally. It's 27. Let's pop over NavSim. $28. Alright, let's tune it now. And put it in localizer. Now hopefully it doesn't slalom too much. I think we got that just about right. You can see the bar moving already. Although it's leveling out and it shouldn't be. There we go. There we go. So let me go on my notes. What I did was I planned this flight plan using FS build, which isn't suitable for this aircraft, but it does give you headings which are kind of useful. So we're going to be going to Clacton, after Clacton heading on 072 until we're 50 miles away from Clacton. So I can start dialing that in now. 712. About there. And we are currently 10 miles away from Clacton, so it's probably actually not going to establish itself on this radial as we want, because we're a little bit too close. It will actually give up once we reach about 7 or 6 miles away. It will just say screw it and hold the current heading, which is okay-ish, not very precision. Again, if I was better versed in this aircraft, I would actually be using that turn knob or just doing this manually. Alright, let's put this over here. Come on. Turn, 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 turn. That'll do. I'll just fly it all with manual headings for now. 19,000 feet. Speed's dropped a little bit. We are 3 miles away. So about 2 to 1 mile away now we will turn. And it becomes less precision at this point until we tune the next VOR, which will be in the next video. There we go. We just passed it.
1,000 to go.
So 072 there. Until we're 50 miles away, and then we'll be doing our approach from Redfa into Amsterdam. Let's get ready on altitude hold here. We're all set.
Stabilizer motion. Stabilizer motion.
Yes, there should be. So there you go. A very rough, with quite a few mistakes, view of how to fly a SID in this DC-9. In the next part of the video, we will be approaching Amsterdam and doing the landing, following a star and ILS approach, and then manual landing into Amsterdam. Thanks for watching, guys. As always, please leave a comment in the comment section below, and if you haven't already, do check out the Facebook page, which is facebook.com/FroogleSim. See you soon, guys. Thanks for watching.